The January 6th Select Committee has obtained more than 24 text messages between President Trump's former chief of staff, Mark Meadows, and Ginny Thomas, the wife of Supreme Court Justice Clarence Thomas, including this one that was sent after the January 6th attack. It reads, "We are living through what feels like the end of America. Most of us are disgusted with the VP and are in a listening mode to see where to fight with our teams. Those who attacked the Capitol are not representative of our great teams of patriots for DJT. Amazing times, the end of liberty." Joining me now is CNN chief legal analyst Jeffrey Toobin. Put this into context for us, if you will, Jeff, including the fact that, remember, in January, Justice Thomas was the only one who dissented in that decision to allow the committee to receive documents from the Trump White House from the National Archive.
Right, Brianna. I mean, what really is important about these messages is not the really extreme and somewhat crazy views that Ginny Thomas expresses, like, that Biden and his supporters should be sent to prison in Guantanamo. I mean, it is really, really extreme stuff. But she's a private citizen. She's entitled to her views. What's extraordinary is that her husband, Justice Thomas, remains sitting on the bench in cases directly relevant to what she's talking about in these texts. He, as you pointed out, has already voted once in defense, the only justice in defense of the Trump position, about access to memos about January 6th. There are more cases in the pipeline on this subject, and he has continued throughout his career never to recuse himself in cases in which his wife has been intimately involved as a political figure.
And Trump, I mean, we'll recall looking back on it, Jeffrey, that Trump believed the Supreme Court would come through for him because he had appointed so many justices in part, but he would talk about it, my court. I mean, he expected some allegiance. How does that fit into all of this?
Well, the thing that is so extraordinary about this is that, they have all, the Ginny and Clarence Thomas have talked about, that they are a team. Now, they also say that they do not interfere with each other's work. But, the tradition in courts has been that if a judge's spouse is at all involved in a matter that comes before the court, the judge recuses himself. Now, what's unusual about the United States Supreme Court is that they have exempted themselves from all the ethical rules that other federal judges are abided by. So the Supreme Court operates entirely on an honor system. There is no formal rule for when judges should recuse themselves. But, by any reasonable standard, Clarence Thomas should not be sitting in all these cases.
We see in some of the other texts, she's referencing her communications with other people besides Mark Meadows. Jared, she says, she talks about Sidney Powell. I wonder, as Trump was hoping that the Supreme Court would go his way, do you think Ginny Thomas's communications were giving any indication to these folks, including Mark Meadows, that, yeah, maybe they will?
I mean, you can only assume that the Trump people knew that Ginny Thomas was Clarence Thomas's wife, and she was given special access and special opportunities to meet with the president throughout President Trump's term. That does seem to be an effort to appeal to her husband. And it worked, at least in one case. I mean, he was the only justice who voted for Trump in the first January 6th case. I don't know what went on behind the scenes, but this is precisely the reason why judges are supposed to recuse themselves when there is this appearance of possible influence from the outside.
Yeah, what a bizarre twist. Jeffrey, thank you so much for that.
All righty, Brianna.